Right, so to begin with, we're going to start standing, feet hip width apart, knees soft so they're not locked back, standing up in a nice tall posture. Think about smiling your collarbones backwards. We're going to pop our hands on our hips and we're going to do some pelvic tilts. Now this can be done in sitting as well, if you're not confident in standing. What we're going to do is tip our pelvis forward so that we're flattening our backs, and then we're going to tilt the other way so we're arching our backs gently, and we're going to just do that a few times. And it's not a big or exaggerated movement, it's just trying to get a little bit of mobility into the lower back. We're going to keep doing that, and it can also be done in sitting. It just causes you to slump a little bit more in sitting. Once you've done that a few times, I can see someone joining in that said they weren't going to join in today. You should just be watching. If you can then find your middle point where you're neither tipped one way or the other, find a comfortable middle point and then try elongate. Imagine you've got a helium balloon coming out the top of your head and really stretch up towards the ceiling, and that's the position we're going to start in. We're going to start just by having a look over one shoulder and the other. Excellent. We're then going to do some exaggerated shoulder rolls backwards. So we all tend to get a bit stiff across the front of the chest because everything we do in life is in front of us rather than behind us. So it's good to just warm up, stretching through the front of the chest. This can also be done in sitting, obviously. Fantastic. We're then going to move on to our legs. So holding on if you need to and not if you don't. I'm going to come up onto tiptoes, and then we're going to lower the heel of one foot down to the floor and then the other. So we're just mimicking a kind of walking movement. Just challenging the balance slightly and starting to work into the calves a bit. Good. We're then going to progress that into something a bit more focused on coordination. So we're going to come up onto the toes of both feet. We're then going to do a little knee bend, and then we're going to lower the heels to the floor with the knees still bent, and then come up again. So sideways that looks like that. Very strange having everyone so quiet. I'm used to being heckled in classes. And then we're going to add some arms as well. So as we come up, as your arms mimic your heels. So as you're coming up, your arms are up, and as your heels lower down, your arms come down. And if you're holding on, obviously you can just do the one arm. And if you're sitting down, you can still do the arms and the legs up and down without the knee bend. Hopefully starting to feel it in the calves a little bit. The next exercise is calf focused as well. But for this one, you might think I've lost the plot. We're going to try and wake up the facial muscles at the same time, because these can sometimes get a little bit stiff as well. So for the next exercise, we'll still be coming up onto tiptoes and down. If you want more of a challenge, you can bring your feet closer together so you've got a narrower base as you come up, or you can have feet apart, or you can hold on. As we go up, we're going to raise our eyebrows and look surprised. And as we come down, we're going to frown and look extremely angry at the class. Okay, so coming up and coming down. And this is one way you hope people aren't walking past your window as you're doing. Good, and if you can, up the pace slightly. So coming up and down, up and down, and down. And I'm naturally quite smiley, so it's quite difficult to stop smiling long enough to frown. Fantastic. Hopefully you're all feeling it in your calves like I am. So give your legs a little shake out. Now, if you get any back problems, then for this one, just stick to a gentle march. If you're fine, then we're going to do a little roll down, just halfway. So I'll show you first. We're going to drop the chin to the chest, and we're going to slide our hands down our thighs, rolling down bone by bone until your hands get to your knees. And then you're going to push your tailbone out towards the wall, straighten the back, have a stretch out. And we're going to curl up, then come back up again and stand in our starting posture again. So if your back is fine and you don't get dizzy going down and coming up again, then give this a go. And if you do, then just start a gentle march instead. Okay. Good, we're going to do 2 more. Down. Fantastic. And then the next one we're going to do is working in more of a side-to-side movement with the spine. So you're going to put hands on the hips, hands on the ribs, and we're going to imagine pelvis and legs stay where they are, and your ribs are sliding over to one side and then the other. So it's a bit of a strange feeling movement because it's not a lean at all. It's just a slide across. It's just, again, you'll notice quite a few of the exercises focus on movements of the middle and the back, because that does tend to get a little bit stiff in Parkinson's disease, and it means that if we can try and stretch everything out, it can have a knock-on effect sometimes if the middle gets a bit stiff. Once we've done a few of these, we'll then add in the arms. So if your shoulders are okay, bringing your arms up into a Y position, and you're doing the same movement with the ribs, but while trying to reach up to the ceiling, one arm and then the other. Excellent. And if one arm's a problem, then by all means just do the other arm, and then with the other side do your rib slide without the reach. Fantastic. And arms coming down, shake everything out. Grab a little sip of water if you need to. The next thing we're going to go on to is some squats. Some of you are very practiced in. So I'll be feeling the burn more than you. So again, if you have any problems with balance, stand next to something sturdy while you do this. We're going to take a wide stance with the toes pointing out diagonally to the corners of the room. Back up nice and straight and your chest stays lifted. And we're going to come down into some squats. Any problems with your knees, feel free to go a bit less deep with the squat. It can be more of a mini squat. And if you're sitting down, then you could either do some straightening of your knees, or you could even try little push-ups off a chair. Fantastic. So just show the chair version again. So you've either got knees coming out in front, trying to straighten the knee as much as you can, or trying to just lift your bottom off the chair. So if your chair's got arms, you can use your arms as well. If it's not, you're in for more of a challenge. And it doesn't matter if you don't really lift, it's just about starting the movement and getting your bottom muscles woken up a little bit. And I'm aware how long everyone else has now been squatting for. Okay, so if you're squatting, on the next squat, we're going to stay down, come out a little bit wider if you dare, and sink down into it even more. We're going to bring our arms up to chest height, again if you can, and twist round from the middle. So your pelvis is staying forwards and you're getting a twist through your spine again. This can also be done in the chair, so you don't need to worry about the squat part. Just bringing your arms up and trying to twist around one way and the other. Fantastic. Good, let's do 2 more each side. See if you can get that extra bit of twist, as long as you haven't got any back problems. And then coming back to the centre, arms down, stay down in the squat a little bit longer if you can, and see if you can do some pulses. So you're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And because it was so much fun, we'll ease it off for a second, and then we'll come back down one more time into pulses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And coming up, bringing your legs together, shaking them out. And we're going to come into a march. So we've got different options for the march. You can either have a gentle stroll outside. Try and make sure that both arms are working equally. You're feeling a bit more energetic today, then it can turn into a more aggressive march, more of a stamp if you haven't got knee problems. And if you're sitting down, you can do just as much, getting the pace up in sitting, whichever works for you. Got 20 more seconds marching. So again, you can switch between levels if actually you change your mind partway through. Try and keep your arms working equally, legs coming up equally high. Hopefully we're just starting to get your heart rate up a little bit. And because I often lose count, I've got a timer that I keep looking at. Fantastic. Okay, coming down into a gentle march while we talk about the next exercise. We're doing some side steps. So if you've got any problems with your balance, please hold something sturdy. You can go for one side step each way. You can go for two side steps each way, and then you're having to transfer your weight in the middle. You can pick up the pace. And if you fancy it, you can add a hamstring curl at the end. And please do whichever level is suitable for you. And you can, of course, pick up the pace a bit more and add a little hop in the middle. Once you've got the legs, see if you can get the arms swinging as you go. It'll look like you're doing brilliantly. Keep it going. 15 more seconds. And stop there on your return. Now come back to a gentle march. So do try and keep your legs moving at all times through the main set of the exercises if you can, but obviously if you need to have a rest, that's absolutely fine. Now would be a good time to grab a drink if you fancy one. Nothing too strong. And we're going to come again into our choice of march, so either marching here, or sitting down at whichever pace. You can have a sprint sitting down if you want, or a slower walk, whichever works for you. Try and think about your posture as you're marching as well, so being as upright and as powerful as possible. Fantastic. Now, anyone that's done aerobics will be familiar with the next one. We're going to do a grapevine, so I'll show you first. What I'll say first is that if you are sitting down for the next exercise, then to work your coordination, we'll do some, can you see my feet actually? Move back a bit. You're going to do some heel toe taps if you're sitting down, so try and get toe in contact with the floor, heel in contact with the floor, and then to switch sides. If you are standing up, then the grapevine is the step to the side, step behind, to the side, together, side, behind, side, together. So you can do this holding on. You can keep it at this pace, or you can add in more of an aerobic pace. There's a bit more of a bounce. And this is a bit more challenging because you've got to navigate the sideways step and the backwards step where you can't see what you're doing. Fantastic. And I'm going to do one more each way from here and stop and coming back to the march. Come Everyone doing okay? Thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down. Good, fantastic, excellent. So the next exercise is about standing on one leg, but again we've got different variations of it. So if it's a no-go or you're particularly unsteady, then maybe sit this one out and march in sitting. You can try standing on one leg, holding onto something sturdy. And if you're doing this option, you do about 20 seconds on one side, switch to the other side for 20 seconds. And you're trying to make sure that your hip doesn't dip, you don't sag at the hips. Both of your hips stay level as you lift that leg. And of course you can hold on, you can try and gradually let go, or you can do it without holding on if you're able to. If you're feeling more confident, then we're going to do stepping into standing on one leg with quite a wide step. So we're kind of destabilizing you a bit to do the movement, and then you're having to stabilize over the one foot. So at any point on this scale, stop when it feels right for you. You can take your legs wider and wider until you're actually almost having to hop a little bit to get the distance over onto that one leg. Please do be careful. And then adding in some arms if you're doing this option as well. It makes me think of skiing, but I may well be wrong. With the confusing weather, we could well be skiing today. That's it, so whichever option you're doing, try and get your arms involved unless you're standing lifting one leg. And if you're feeling that this is too easy, then by all means, you can add a little squat when you get onto that one leg, just to challenge your balance even more. Fantastic. One more each side, and stop there, back to a march. Okay, so the next kind of run of exercises are all about the exaggerated movements, very powerful, kind of a bit faster than we've been going for. So again, there are variations, but these ones are a little bit more focused on the challenging side because we're really wanting to get power into them. If you've got painful joints anywhere, you can just modify them to make sure that we're not overstretching or putting too much power into painful joints. Again, nothing should be painful. So the first one we're going to do, if you're at all unsteady, have a chair behind you. It might be worth having a chair in front as well. The movement we're going to do is from a wide base. We're going to pretend that someone's running at us and we want to socially distance from them. So we're going to start with the arms by the side, and this is where we're going to shout. We're going to go, stop. So at this point, we've got our wrists extended, our fingers splayed out, and we're almost sitting in the chair, but not quite. We're going to pause when we're down there, and then with the same amount of power you came down with, you're going to pull back up like that. And then stop. And up. By shouting stop, you're working your vocal muscles as well, and they're getting a bit of a workout. Now I won't shout stop every time because that'll just distract you. So if you've got problems with your shoulders that will stop you coming up here, then by all means just push away to the floor. If your knees are the problem, then come just into a little knee bend, or even just do the arms. And if you're sitting down, again, just do the arms if you can. But it's all about that power, extending the wrists, fingers out, strong movement. Okay, so the other thing I should say is that we're going to try and build up to using about 80% of the maximum effort you possibly could for each repetition. So we don't want any injuries, obviously, but if you haven't got any existing injuries, then try and think about that level of power. So we're not just kind of coming down and up, you're really trying to force it both ways. That's why it's really important that you haven't got any injuries before you do this exercise, okay? We're going to do them in sets of 5, and then we're going to stop, pause, think about the effort level, and try again, because it shouldn't be an exercise that you could just carry on all day because you're putting so much power in. Okay, ready? I won't do my shouting, but you shout stop. Ready, and two. Fantastic. 3, 4, 5, and up. Okay, shake everything off, water if you need to, have a pause, prepare for another batch of 5. Someone's disappeared into the cloudy background. When you're ready, we'll go again. So arms in, fists by your side, ready to shout, and go. Fantastic. And then we've got one more set like this. So again, pause. And when you're ready, off we go. 1, and up. 2, and up. 3, and up. People don't stand a chance that are running at us. 4, and up. And 5, and up. Fantastic. That's the end of that exercise. Next one is a similar theme of power. Move the chair out of my way a bit. Everyone okay? Good. Excellent. So next one, we're going to start in a 007 position with feet wider than hips and soft again, soft knees so you're not locked back. If you've got any shoulder problems, by all means, point your 007 pose down towards the floor. Again, watch first. So we're going to start, and with power, we're going to turn 90 degrees, rotating on the back foot. So it does challenge your balance a bit as well, having to do that rotation. Once you've got to this position, if you've got no back problems, then just twist a little further, come back to 90, and then with power, coming back to the front, and then we'll go the other way. So the powerful bit is the 90 degrees, and then a gentle stretch beyond that if you don't have any back problems. And we're going to go for 6 repetitions of this one before we have a pause. Okay, you're ready? Go. And twist if you can. Coming back, and the other way. Twist, stretch, and back. Again, keep going. Fantastic. Good, and you do 2 more each way. I'll come and have a nosy. Fantastic. Yeah, I was going to say this can be done obviously in sitting, just the upper body as well. Fantastic, and have a pause there. Good, shake everything off. And if that's feeling okay, we're going to do the same exercise again, another set of 6. By all means, switch between sitting and standing as you need. Coming up, ready, go. You keep your head looking where your hands are going. I'm just looking over my shoulder to watch everyone. Our 6th. And back to the middle and shaking off. Good. And one more set like that. Right. When you're ready. And go. Fantastic, good power. Good, and stop when you've done your 6. Brilliant. Grab water if you need to. We've got 3 more exercises of this kind of power. Next one is nice and dramatic for a Saturday morning. So we're going to imagine that we've got a line out in front of us, and we're going to try and lunge over that line. So if you've got any problems with your balance, you can take a smaller step rather than a lunge, or if you're doing it sitting, you can just do the arms. So we're going to start arms beside our body. We're going to take a large lunge forward and thrust our arms out to the side and then pull back. And then the other leg coming out. Any problems with your shoulders, go for a lower range, whatever's comfortable for you. Fantastic. As I say, feel free to go for the arms. In sitting, you can burst forwards out of the chair. Fantastic, and stop there, because I think we've already got to our 5 because I was talking. Have your pause, think about whether you think you were going for about 80% of your maximal effort, or whether there's more oomph that you could put into the movement. And we're going to start another set of 5. Ready, and go. I always think this would be a lovely way to walk into a room full of new people. Fantastic. And stop there. We're going to do one more set of 5. When you're ready. I hope you're shaking your floorboards as much as mine are. Last one. Good, and stop there. Next exercise is a similar thought with the lunge first, but we're adding in a turn as well. So if turning is something that's difficult for you, by all means just go forwards and then come back to the start and do the exercise facing forwards again. So for the next one, we're stepping over that line on the floor again, opposite arm and leg. One arm's coming forwards, one arm's backwards, both arms are extended, really stretching away. This time we step together to the front. We're then going to smack our hands onto our thighs as we stamp round 180 degrees, and then we go back the other way. And this is a tricky one for me to watch and do at the same time. I will watch. So, big lunge, one arm forwards, one arm backwards, back, stamp, 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 and back the other way. Shall I show again? The important thing with it is that you're just trying to get a really big, powerful movement, coordinating the arms and legs, and trying, if you can, to do that lunge and turn as well. Fantastic. Good. And I think you'll have done more than your 5 or 6 actually. Have a pause, grab some water if you need to. Wave at me if I need to demonstrate again. No waving, okay, cool. The next set, same again, opposite arm and leg, big lunge, together. Wrong arm and leg then, don't watch me. Fantastic, and stop there. Or whenever you finish your one. We're going to do one more set. If you've only been turning in one direction, try on the next set to see if you can turn in the other direction. Or if you've been alternating them, keep going with that. So just doing one more set of 6. So ready when you are. Keep going. Let's let 2 more for most people. Fantastic. Now, I know a lot of you are doing the boxing classes, so this will be very tame and basic in comparison to that, but we're just going to do a box step for the next exercise with a punch forward and a pull back if you can, or a lower one if you've got any problems with your shoulders, holding on if you need to, and if you're sitting down, then go for a punch, 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 punch again, coming out in front and coming down to the side. So really giving it some welly if you haven't got any injuries, and also trying to see if you can alternate which foot you start the box step with, just to give your brain something extra to do. And go for a couple more here. And stop, shake everything out for a second. Guessed by now we'll get another set of that as well. When you're ready, as much oomph as you can. Excellent. Good. And shake it out. One more set of them. And then we'll move on to a different style of exercises. The last set. All your welly. Two more. Fantastic, and coming back into a march. Everyone still okay? Still thumbs up? Don't have to be. Good, excellent. Okay. Next one we're going to do isn't about the power and the amplitude of the movement so much anymore, although that's always a bonus. Next one we're going to do is coming out into a wide side step and then a narrow. Wide step, narrow step. If you're going at this pace, see if you can alternate the leading leg, which is a little bit like patting your head and rubbing your belly. Or if you're feeling okay, don't worry about the alternating, but see if you can speed it up. So you go wide, wide, narrow, narrow, wide, wide, narrow, narrow. And then by all means stop to turn around and lead with the other leg. If you're going at this pace, try and get your arms involved. You're doing more of a jogging movement. Fantastic. Do 10 more seconds. My legs are moving independently of my body. Fantastic. And stop there, coming back to a march. Grab water if you need to. Try and keep the legs moving if you can, just so we're not stopping suddenly. Next one I think is reminiscent of line dancing, but I've never been, so I may be wrong. You can either do it, we'll go from sitting, tapping your heels out to the side and taking a hand with you. If you're in standing, you can guess. The same. Or it can be done faster with a bit more of a jog in it, or anywhere in between. So try and stretch the arm out at the same time as the leg going out. Make sure both arms and legs are working equally. Again, a great time for someone to be walking past the window, I'm sure. And whichever level you're doing, you can obviously swap between, but we'll do 10 more seconds. Fantastic. And coming back to a march. Good. So everything after this march will be more looking at balance and stretching. So this is the last thing to do with heart rate that we're doing, really. So up to you whether you go for your march here, one final stomping angry march, or whether you're in sitting at whichever speed works for you between walking and running. Fantastic. And then we're all going to come back and join a calmer walking pace, whether that's sitting or standing. Slowing it down nicely. We're going to bring our feet apart if you're standing, hands on the hips, and we're going to try and draw, as long as you haven't got problems with your back, we're going to try and draw big circles around just to stretch out the lower back and the upper legs. And again, if you haven't got back problems, do try and make sure that your circle is as round as possible so that you're not missing out a side that tends to be a bit weaker or tighter. And then coming back the other way. If you have got problems with your back, or you want to take it a bit more cautiously, then just coming side to side, transferring the weight, having a little shimmy. If you're sitting down, you can brace yourself steadily on the chair and see if you can take your upper body round while your lower body stays still. And back the other way. Fantastic. So for the next one, we're looking at balance. So you can either go for a little step forward or harder is one foot directly in front of the other. Obviously not holding on, harder still. We're going to start by coming up onto our toes of both feet. So from the side, coming up onto the toes. Fantastic. If this feels too easy, not enough of a challenge on your balance, then you can do something that I very much struggle to do, and you can turn your head while you're going up onto your tiptoes. So you're looking over one shoulder and the other shoulder. Please hold on if you're at all unsteady, or make sure you're surrounded by sturdy things you can touch. Fantastic. And then we just hear my toddler shouting to shut the window. We're going to swap legs, because we've probably all done our favourite leg first, the one that we find a bit easier. So pop the other leg forwards and then coming up onto the tiptoes of that leg. Fantastic. As I say, turning your head if you're finding that actually even this is a bit too easy. Brilliant. Shake the legs off, and then we're going to come back into whichever your chosen position was to do some weight shifting. So we're going to take the heel off the back foot, and then we're going to rock back and lift the toes of the front foot. We're going to just rock between the two. This is to challenge your balance and also to work on the kind of heel strike part of walking and the push off, the propulsion part of walking. Fantastic. And then we're going to switch sides again. Just seeing the time. Oops. Okay. Bringing your feet apart again. Again, if your back's okay, we're going to just take a gentle swing around one side and the other. You can do this in sitting as well. Trying to get a little bit of range in the shoulders and back. Good. We're going to come back to our favourite heel toe standing, one foot in front of the other. We're going to do another shouting one. So it's up to you. You can do this in sitting, you can do it with your feet apart, or you can do it in a more balanced, challenging position. We're going to take the arms up overhead and we're going to shout A. And as we shout A, we bring our arms down and we want to finish by our sides about the time our breath runs out. If deep breathing or long breaths out make you dizzy, please don't do the breathing part. Just say A as you come down, okay? So we're going to go shouting. I won't distract you. Good. And then we're going to switch sides if you're balancing one foot in front of the other. We're going to go for E. As you shout E, really exaggerate the facial movement as well. So you're really widening the mouth more than you need to. We're going E. Lovely. Switch again. We're going to miss out I. We're going to go for O. So really nice round O. Shouting loud as you can without worrying the neighbours. And lastly, you, other foot in front, coming up, shouting you. Fantastic. Okay, now I'm aware of the time, so I will move on to some stretching. We'll take one foot out in front of you, back leg bent, front knee straight, foot flat on the floor to begin with. And we want you to hinge forward from your hips, so your back stays straight until you feel a stretch in the back of your thigh and your hamstrings. Fantastic, and then we're going to pull the toes up on that leg to give you a stretch in the back of your calf and down the whole leg. Fantastic, coming up and circling the ankle in one direction. And then the other direction. Good, and the other leg, holding on if you need to, because this isn't about balance, this is about the stretch. So back leg bent, front knee straight, hinging at the hips until you feel the stretch. If you're not feeling it, try sticking your bottom back towards the wall a bit more, sitting back more into it. Good, and then toes up towards you. Feeling the stretch in the calf. Coming up, circling that ankle. One way and the other. Good, and then if you're able to, grabbing your foot, you can by all means hold on, stretching the front of the thigh, the quads. So we don't want your leg coming forwards like that. You want to make sure your thighs are in line, and think about your posture as well as you do it. Good, and the other leg. Fantastic, and down, shake the legs out, take one arm across the front of the chest, and then use the other arm to just pull it gently around, unless you have any problems with your shoulder, in which case we'll do what's comfortable for you. Try not to let your shoulder come up towards your ear, because it's too tempting for it to rise up. And out on the other side. Good. And then last thing, again, if taking a deep breath isn't a problem for you, little knee bend, sweeping the arms up, deep breath in, curl them overhead and blow out as you come down. And you're done. Well done. I will come and pause the recording, stop the recording.